So we got Chris and Tucker doing a seminar.
All right, we got some giveaways here. Myself and Tucker, we flew in, yesterday? We had a nice little flight. We had a 3 a.m. flight out of Texas and Alabama. It's really nice to come to these types of shows because I've been doing this for going on my 14th season now, and coming to these shows that are kind of like the smaller specialty shops. It's got that real nice community feel. So what we want to do here is just kind of get an interactive Q&A type session. Myself and Tucker will be glad to answer any type of questions you guys have, specifically related to some of the lakes around here, to help you guys catch more fish. The more questions you ask, the better off you are, because we've got plenty of stuff to give away, so it'll be real nice. Tucker, what do you got now?
Yeah, I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. That's where I grew up, and just moved to Gunnersville pretty recently, so I love it out there. And this place is awesome. West Virginia is really cool. Y'all got a really cool community here and a cool shop. So yeah, we can answer some questions that you guys can.
So we're both actually really fortunate to be hooked up with Nitro and Mercury. We both run a Nitro Z21 XL, and me coming from a Skeeter, and you coming from, you ran Nitro your whole career, yeah, so you're a lucky one. But the Z21 I run, it's like the biggest, highest floating platform, the strongest platform I've ever run. I'm not just saying that because Nitro brought me here. Just a phenomenal fishing craft, no doubt. Actually, next year's colors, I'm going to order this exact color because the color combination is absolutely fire, in my opinion. Any questions right off the bat? Again, anything specific related to any of these, Somerville or the small lake down the road here? Anything, anything on your mind at all? Any of the younger kids? Questions? No? Right off the bat? No? All right, I got a question for Tucker. Let's say the ice starts thawing out, the snow starts thawing out, we're going into a pre-spawn phase. What are 3 rods you're going to have on your deck if you're targeting West Virginia bass in, let's say, like early March, mid-March?
Yeah, honestly, I like throwing a crankbait a lot. I throw something like a slow, maybe balsa crankbait. One of my favorites is just a shad wrap, man. It's one of the best crankbaits to throw when it's cold. I'm sure a lot of y'all guys throw the shad wrap, but it's
This guy's got a bunch of shad wrap.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Why does that work so well, like when it's cold?
It's that the shad wrap, it's just got that really tight wobble, and it doesn't displace a bunch of water, and those fish aren't really super aggressive when it's cold. So something small and slight like that, they just love it. Compared
to like a 5XD or a 6XD when it's hot, summertime, there's something about a wide wobbling crankbait in your summer months that work way better than, let's say, a shad wrap or a Fritz side or a lipless crankbait that wobbles really, really tight, that works phenomenally in that 45 to 55 degree range, which you guys will see here come March.
Yeah, and then I like to throw a jig a lot too, so I'm sure flipping a jig around these lakes will be really good, even when it's cold. A lighter jig seems to work good when it's cold. That slow roll, you don't want something that's half ounce, 3/4 ounce that's falling really fast by them when it's super cold. That slower fall is better. And usually with that jig, when it's cold, I like to throw a chunk on the back, so it just kind of glides.
Yes.
Too much action really with the crawl kind of stuff when it's super cold, so I like the chunk.
But in the summertime, again, going back to the wide wobbling 6XD, 5XD, a lot of action, a lot of movement. Seems like those types of lures do a lot better when the water temperature is higher. Same with a jig trailer. You want more erratic, more twin-tailed grubs, things like that in the summertime. But springtime, fish are coming out of their winter phase when they've been cold and bunched up, hanging out in the middle of the lake all winter long. As soon as they start moving shallow towards the banks here, which you guys will see in March, they want a kind of bigger offering, but that doesn't move a lot. Something that moves a lot of water, but doesn't sit there and wiggle a bunch. So a bigger, larger profile, nice gliding action. 1/4 and 3/8 ounce jigs over, your 1/2 ounce, your 3/4 ounce jigs.
Yeah, I'd say number 3 is probably jerkbait. It's one of my favorites to throw, and especially when it's really cold like this, you can jerk that jerkbait and just let it sit there for a long period of time. A lot of times when it that, the longer you have to like let it sit. And those fish love a long pause when it's super cold on jerkbait. You know, around points, rocky banks, channel swings, anything like that. Around lay down trees is a great way to catch them on jerkbait. But it's just a fish getter, you know, and a lot of big ones use jerkbait too. It just mimics the shad so well, and with it being cold, those shad are dying off, so jerkbait's a perfect imitator.
Yeah. And to answer my own question, what 3 rods will I have on the deck? Let's say the frost starts, you know, getting out of here, things are starting to warm up. Typically, you know, we had just had a rain here. Let's say you and I are going fishing in you know, 2 or 3 weeks when things really start to happen. Again, the fish right now in the wintertime, the last month, month and a half, 2 months, they've been out in the middle of the lake, just kind of cold, lethargic, not moving a lot, not chasing down shad. Once they start to see the days getting longer, once they start to feel the water temperature rising a little bit, more and more sunlight penetration, instead of 3 rods, I'm the type of guy that likes to use 1 rod targeting 1 huge fish, and it's going to be some type of swim bait. I like the 6-inch versions. For those of you who follow my career, you know, the Mega Bass Mag Draft's a good one. Some of the hollow belly swim baits are good ones. Right now, I'm currently fishing a Bass Mafia jerkbait, which is a Bass Mafia swim bait. She knows what I'm talking about. That's got a top hook on it, but in the 6 to 7 to 8-inch variants. And one thing about the pre-spawn phase, we've all fished in that pre-spawn phase, March, April. That's the best time of year to catch a really big bass. So how do you catch really big bass in the pre-spawn phase? You have to fish for them. Yes, the techniques you just talked about catch a lot of big ones, but if you're actually targeting 1, 2, 3 big bites that day, either flipping a big, nasty, slow falling jig with a large profile, or my favorite, again, throwing a larger than normal swim bait, 6-inch, 7-inch, 8-inch swim bait, you are targeting the biggest fish in the lake. And it's as simple as trying to find where the fish move from that cold wintertime phase to that pre-spawn staging area. So what do we look for in the pre-spawn staging areas? Characteristics like channel swing banks. If you look at your Navionics mapping, your Lake Master mapping, wherever that main channel swings up against a rocky bank is primo, absolutely premier for trying to find a 5, you know, a big one around here is what, how big? 5-pounder, about a 5-pounder. And depending on where you're at in the country, I'm from Texas, so I'm looking for 8, 9, and 10 pounders, but the same premise goes for up here. We're looking for high percentage areas, channel swing banks, or my favorite, the most pieces of obvious cover on the lake you have to offer. The same obvious pieces of cover that everyone here loves to fish, that single laydown, or you know, there's a row of docks, that one dock that sticks out just a little bit further than the rest of the docks, a single rock pile. If you're along a dam that's got a rip-rap rocky bank, maybe there's one boulder that's just a little bit bigger than the rest of the boulders. Those real obvious bass holding type pieces of cover hold the biggest bass out there. And sure, everyone fishes the obvious pieces of structure. They see a million jerkbaits, they see a million jigs, they see a million square-billed crankbaits or flat-sided crankbaits. When you offer a 6 or 7-inch profile on an obvious piece of cover, you're looking for the biggest bite possible. You're looking for the fish that owns that single laydown, that owns that single dog.